players trade both directions. That's just how they work. But here's the caveat to that is that the big players, even though they trade both directions, they're always working from low to high. They always work to buy low, sell high. And so if you can lock that into your head, then you understand what they're always doing. If you look at charts and stuff, you'll always notice that price drops much differently than it rises.
Okay.
And you'll have some people that claim they're the same, and they're not. You just have to study charts before you actually understand that. And I think this chart that Carlo had open was really a brilliant chart, because you could see where the Bitcoin went down a couple times, and like you said, those sharp moves. So if you had your market order in there, I mean your limit order in there, and been hit and been patient with it, you would have got the move back that you wanted to. So yeah, that was a great place to actually show that, So
okay, cool, awesome, thank you.
Good stuff. No, James, anytime you feel it, just go ahead and jump in. That's what we want. That's what we like here, is collaboration and learning, bouncing ideas off each other and learning from each other.
Well, I appreciate you, man. You know I do. So
anything, George is awfully quiet, and this is unlike him. So
I'm just listening.
I know you want to say something.
No, everything's good. Just that, like you said, the shorting to me, I made more money shorting because it drops a lot different and hard than when it does, than going up. And when I'll tell people, I start teaching about this, you're gonna get mad when you realize what they're doing. They got 2 sets of books out there and about shorting, but hey, you can't beat them, join them. So
there you go, George. Right. Let's talk about how they actually do this in the background, right?
Yeah. I didn't want to throw that in there and run everybody off. Yeah.
I know that gets too deep, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, wait till I get too excited.
Yeah. Things are definitely, I definitely teach with all my students that things are manipulated. So you just need to get over that.
Yes.
And move forward, because it's real.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
So with that statement right there, and I've heard that certain time, because I've been watching XRP since Carlos introduced me to it over a year ago, Carlo, and of course I can tell, we know that because of the things that are being set up with this financial system, quantum finance, all this stuff, that the markets are being manipulated, but it works to our advantage if we see it. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep, I think so. If it's something that you already believe in, then it works to your advantage.
Yes, and I try to explain this to people, start trying to pick up some XRP and just learning blockchain itself, that blockchain is the new internet. Bitcoin, crypto is exciting, but the blockchain is the real golden goose here.
Yeah.
And if we can learn and get in early, because right now we'll call it less than 1% of the global population, even in cryptocurrency.
Or is it still that low? Wow.
It's we way ahead of the curve and getting in, because no way XRP should be at a quarter. But what they're doing, they're showing their power to control it, to stabilize it.
Exactly right. Okay.
To our advantage, if we buy it up now, and it's going to go up, and then they're going to drop it again to shake people out to pick it up. So I'll tell people, do not sell your crypto. Stack it. When they drop it down to 10 cents, buy some more. Because they're going to try to get this XRP back from the people. Trust me.
I'm totally with George on that one, on XRP. And you have to study the history of XRP to actually understand it. But you'll find a lot of people that hype it. And then what you'll notice, and they're hyping it on news. And if you look at the news, it's really significant news, but you'll notice that it never moves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's if you really study it, with everything that's going on in the money markets, there's, I haven't actually dug in deep enough to actually get my feel or sense for a target date, but we are talking about, this is a longer term process. So we're talking like a year or two before, yeah. So George, you're with me, right?
Yes.
Before it actually does the real move. And I feel like what's going on right now is, if you actually understand, and I noticed Tyrone said fiat currency, so I love that he said that, because understanding that is really brilliant, because that's a global truth, that's a reality, and we're not going to change it. And right now, the central banks, which are driving the fiat currencies, they already have their digital coin out there, the SDR, and so we have two people. Are you okay with me doing this, Carlo? Because
absolutely.
Okay. So and George can chime in with me too, because it sounds like we're on the same page. The we have a power struggle going on right now, and this power struggle is, we have the IMF, which is they sit on top. They're the governing body of all of these central banks. So all of the central banks connect to the IMF. And so you can think of all of the, like the Federal Reserve and all of these central banks, those are the baby Ponzi schemes. And then, the IMF is the master Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, they did Madoff, Bernie Madoff.
Yeah, but like on a scale that, yeah, you and I just, yeah, wow. And so what has happened over the last couple of years is that they've been acquiring real assets with all of this, with all of this fiat currency, and and the only real asset that's out there is gold. And so they've been stabilizing themselves with gold, so they could begin this new journey, this reset. But so we have the IMF competing for control, but then we also have the local governments, because not all central banks are actually private, like here in the United States. Some are actually government controlled. So, but these central banks don't want to give up control. So there's this battle that is definitely happening, because the federal banks largely represent the sovereign money, which is the money of the country. So the US, it's the dollar, the pound, in the sterling, in, I can't even think of the country right now, it's going blank. But so we have all this going on, and it's not something that's just going to happen overnight. And this is where so many retail traders get screwed up, is that they think in terms of hours and days, and they don't understand that big players think months and sometimes years,
decades. Yes. Way out.
Yes, like they move. They'll trade both directions, and the reason they do the trading both directions is because they only have so much money, so they have to keep liquid while they're holding their positions. So they have to work both ways. But once they get everything to where they want it, the reality is that they're all in at that point, and now they're going to cash out. And then that's where you see these abrupt moves in the market, where everything becomes really, really extreme.
Right. And he said they're like locusts. They go from country to country, create devastation, and they control the governments with threats of hyperinflation, like they did with Venezuela, and took it to a million percent, fold in their money valuation. So that's why he said he got to go slow. He got to put them at the table, slow to get rid of them, because they will decimate the economy with inflation. And I try to tell everybody, inflation is, they got us thinking inflation is, we got to deal with it like it's gravity, but really it's legalized theft.
Thank you, George.
And it's a hidden tax. And if you don't understand that, that's why we're on the hamster wheel until you understand it. And when I know when I try to tell people, it's real hard to believe that because you work so hard, but you wonder why you can't afford nothing. So Carlos found a Carrot Bar's picture of 2 red pickup trucks. I don't know if you guys saw it. And that's the analogy I use to people when I talk to them. Like my 10-year-old granddaughter, I got her a blockchain account, Exodus, and she know how to transfer money, crypto and stuff now. And I showed her that picture. I said, look, if you would have had a piece of gold, an ounce when I was born, we could still buy the same products today, no matter what the price is. So we got to get people to understand, don't look at the price of something, look at the percentage, the value of it. And until you realize that, you will never get ahead because they steal out of your savings account every night when they print more money, which are now digitizing more money. And I tell people, look at your checking accounts. You never see the word money on it. And then people look like, no, I don't. It's debits and credits because we already have a digital system. They just now gonna make it mass across the globe to control with this last reset they're about to do. And like you said, in 2008, they didn't have all the Federal Reserve didn't have all that gold and stuff. They had control of everything else. So now they got the hard assets with that fake money, and they about to whip it the other way now. And for those who don't pay attention, man, they're gonna be hurting.
Yeah, it's
the next 5-6 years, they're gonna be hurting bad.
Yeah, and see, to add on to that, George, is that it's the government, and I really hate to say this, but they're not our friend.
No.
And
we're their slaves. We're their slaves.
Exactly, but it's really hard to understand that, especially the whole discussion that's going on right now, and Carlo knows me, so he knows where I stand on all of this. But this whole thing that's going on with Black and brown people and the whole white privilege thing, it's very real. However, it's a huge distraction.
Yes.
Because it's allowing them in the background, the bigger players, to position themselves and to navigate people in fear to a position that works to their benefit. And, and in fact, I'm going to be doing an interview with Carlo, and I want to do with other people of color as well, because we have to start having real money conversations, not just about reparations and stuff like that.
Right.
I get that, and I'm not against that, but it's the systemic issue underneath that has to change. And until we come together as a people to revamp that, we're not going to ever change what the Federal Reserve's doing.
Right.
And
exactly.
we are the ones that have to fight that battle, because politicians are not going to fight it for us.
Oh no, it's against their cause.
And you know the best thing they did to us as people is get us to believe that we're black and white.
Yes, right.
Human race.
Man, that's so effective.
It's so effective.
I think
and go ahead.
I think Henry Ford said people understood the banking system, there'd be a revolution by tomorrow morning. So what James just said, systemic, because even with repatriations, if you don't understand what to do with any kind of income that you have.
Thank you, Tyrone. Thank you. That's it right there in a nutshell.
Over and over again. So they used to say you can give a person who don't understand finances wealth, and they're just going to destroy themselves faster.
Yeah.
Yes.
There with athletes. We saw. I'm from Newport News, Virginia. We saw. I can recall Allen Iverson when he first got his contract, coming out of a Walmart in Hampton, flying about 100 miles an hour, and then with the big S500 Mercedes, as if the law didn't apply to him.
Yep.
Right.
And I can remember him telling the coach, "You don't need to practice," because that's the difference between getting the wealth and being mentored and having the mindset, like Allen said, nothing changes unless you change your mind.
Yes.
Or just running with it, because now you just gave a person who don't understand finances.
Exactly.
Okay.
Finances, or you gave him nitroglycerin.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's such a great analogy, Tyrone. And really, if we move it back to ethnicity and stuff, and really think about this, because there's such I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term generational trauma, right?
Yes.
Well, okay, think about that in terms of everything that has happened with Black and brown people historically, right? How many times has wealth been established and then stripped by the white leaders?
Yep. Mobs.
And not only that, the stripping of the wealth, but the massacres, right?
Yes.
It's not like the Red Summer wasn't the only time that massacres happened, right? And then all the lynchings on top of it, right? So you have to start thinking about what this does to not just, well, there's an emotional condition that comes from this trauma. I had a very traumatic childhood, and I don't want to compare it to anybody, but for me, it was traumatic. And I know today, it's taken me probably 15, 20 years to get where I am today. And I still have this voice in my head that I work desperately to change.
Yes.
So think if I was Black and I had lived through this trauma, and it was that the trauma was really present in that particular family, and talked about all the time, you're never away from it. And trauma, and you talk about stress, a friend of mine, Dr. Avis, she brought this great point, is that the stress among people of color is constant and it's never off. So, and we talk about health conditions and stuff. Well, think about that. Stress is it's like one of the worst things you can have, right?
Yeah.
And if you're always under this constant stress and fear, and it's rightfully so that it's there, it's going to change how you think, how you behave, how you do things, right? So you have this current underneath, right, that's happening. And how do you move above that? Well, that's the thing. The system has masterfully created all of this.
Yeah, James, you hit this nail on the spot to hear a person of the race say this out loud. Have you ever read the Willie Lynch letter?
No, I haven't.
I'm gonna let you please Google that, and for a fact, read it and listen to it on audio, YouTube.
Okay.
You're gonna see where that trauma was systemically started on a say conspiracy level, so to speak. Set up on purpose to do. And what you just said, it still happens today. Mistrust, like Carlo said, got to stick in the white and Black. But in reality, we're all, when you earn income earners, you're still a slave because they're paying us in peanuts.
And you brought me back.
The peanuts are better than the currency. You can't eat the money, but you eat the peanuts.
Exactly. And you brought me back to it. Income is a big deal, George. It's
taxation.
So even so I listen to Roland Martin Unfiltered a lot, right? In fact, I subscribe to him because I want to support that. The interesting thing in a lot of their debates, they're always fighting for income, and you gotta hear me on this. Really, really hear me on this. Income is not the issue.
Right.
The issue is assets.
Yes.
The issue is wealth.
That's it.
And
what to do with it.
If across the board, Black and brown people started accumulating gold across the board, that's all they did was accumulate gold, they would absolutely shift power.
Yes.
And if the whites joined in and started doing the same thing, governments would lose the power that they have.
Yes. Because we would have the money.
It's so critical that we understand this.
Yes.
Because guess what? A lot of us, Black and white, can't even identify assets.
Exactly. I know, right? We're in this debt cycle, and this debt cycle does what? It tells us, and don't even get me, I'm already there, right? So I can't even say, don't get me started. We're already there. We're in this debt cycle. And what's the key peg to the debt cycle? The house. This is how they enslave
the single family house.
This is how they enslave everybody with debt. They say you want to own the house. Own the house. Don't rent. Own.
The American dream.
Yes, and what do? You finance it, right? And what do? You get credit cards because you're starting to have all this stuff happen, and then what do you do with the house? You end up refinancing so you can pay off your credit card debts. Because
Start
you
it
have
over
too much.
again.
Thank you, George.
Yep. Recycle.
That's the enslavement right there.
Exactly.
The monetary enslavement. People should not be buying homes until they've established a foundation of wealth.
Asset base. Exactly. And that's the thing we are working with, my son-in-law, my daughter, and all that. And this group, we're building that. And we talk about reparations. When I tell people we don't need reparations, we are reparations, they look at me like, what are you talking about? You're a trader. I'm like, no. And this is what Tyrone was saying. If we got $1 million each, hyperinflation in the hood is going to go crazy overnight.
Oh, yeah.
And then when we give all that money back in 24 to 36 months, everybody going to be homeless because now their little piece of crap $10,000 house in the hood is going to be worth now $120,000 or $200,000.
Yep.
And no one's going to be able to afford it because now the bank's going to own all them houses. Now the rich going to come in and buy a house for $1,000 a piece.
Wow.
and now they're going to charge you, killing you. So we would do more damage if we don't understand, like Carlos said, what is an asset. And when we do get the money, to put the money in the asset. And
they did that in 2008, 2007, 2008. That's exactly what they did.
Yep.
They took all these high risk people, and they leveraged all these assets with them. And what happened? Well, once it collapsed, the biggest of players gained all that wealth.
Yeah, if I can say,
what's that? We call those the big.
What? Say it again. You broke up, George.
The movie, The Big Short.
Yeah. Great movie. I've watched it so many times. Yes, absolutely. You just yes. And what's going on today? We've changed, and the typical person doesn't understand it. I really venture guess that a lot of investors don't really comprehend it as well. Is that we've gone from a true recessionary cycle to now we're into this what's called a bubble cycle. And 2008 was the first big bubble.
Yeah, people realize it was worse than the numbers in the Great Depression.
Yep. And the reason it's a bubble is because they injected so much money into it in 2009 to recover it. They did not allow the recession to actually happen.
Right.
So we have what Trump is spewing about. We've had the strong. We're not. Our economy has been declining since 1997. And even with Obama having the success that he's had during his time with the economy growing and things, it still didn't even blip on the overall scale from 1997 to today.
Right.
And now with the printing of money, which as George so perfectly pointed out, today they don't even have to print the money. They literally have started just digitizing the money. And so they're just literally putting it into accounts as a number, which shows you that it's gotten even crazier, right?
Yeah.
And the numbers that are being printed right now are insane. When we start talking about trillions, it's so hard for a person to comprehend what a trillion is. It's 12 zeros. So let's break that down. That's a million. That's $1 million. Think about that. That's $1 million. That's 100 billions. It's just you think about it. If I told you this, if I gave you $1 million today and I said spend it, do you think you could spend it like overnight? Well, okay.
Almost. Yeah, one house now, one car now, Bugatti.
Yeah. I like where George is going. Yeah, if you're gonna play like that, I won't play. Yeah, because we could go yachts and stuff. Just the upkeep on the crew in a yacht would easily eat that up. But that's that's where we're at here. We're just 12 zeros.
It's ridiculous.
And the reality in the market is there's this thing called derivatives. And derivatives actually exceed the physical wealth. and the derivatives aren't real.
Nope.
And
Biggest
the
Ponzi.
yeah, the biggest guess is that they're easily into the quadrillions already.
There's a quarter quadrillion derivatives out there, and that's what XRP is going to end up running.
I think there's a full quadrillion out there.
Think there's a full one? Woo,
Yeah.
that's even scarier.
So we're talking now, instead of 12 zeros, we're talking 15 zeros.
Yeah.
And these numbers are just ridiculous. And,
Yeah.
and George did bring up Venezuela. If you just study Venezuela at its peak and how it broke, you'll understand that its currency, the hyperinflation. See, it's hyperinflation is when the pain really happens, because the money turns into paper. The value,
literally,
it's just gone. The value, there is no value anymore.
And
there's no trust.
Nope.
That's why I think that that's why I can appreciate what Carlo is doing here, because the biggest thing we can get, and I think Mike Maloney said this also, is we have to be informed. We have to get the educated in finances, and this is one of the places where that, especially for my people of color, that we don't get into learning how to trade and even not alone understanding crypto, just trading alone. So when Carlo has a platform like this, it's, for me, like even in this discussion earlier when he had his charts and everything up, it was eye-opening. My brother Michael's been showing me. So between the two of them showing me, it becomes eye-opening because the more I see it. I'm kinesthetic. I do things hands-on. I got to see it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I can be lazy in the other direction, but when I'm seeing it, okay, now I get it. So that's why I can appreciate this platform, because we have to understand these things, the markets, trading crypto, the terminology, because the education, financial education is the biggest education we can have right now, because without it, like I said earlier, you can give me $1 billion, but if I don't have financial education about what to do so that I can, like they said, the richest man in Babylon, I need to let those children work for me, the gold work for me, whatever the platform is, work for me, so it starts creating residual. I'm gonna be right back in the same boat.
Yep, exactly.
So I can appreciate this platform, for especially the getting back to what Carlos was doing with the trading and the crypto, the charts and everything.
Oh, I was loving the questions you were asking, Tyrone, too. So props to you, because asking the right questions, or the question, just asking questions first off is great.
Right. It's gonna spin off more questions. Yeah,
when your questions actually start hitting these solid targets like what you were on, I was like, yes, this is awesome.
See, and before I forget, I was gonna say this earlier if I forgot. I'm sorry. To me, when I'm looking at seeing XRP is doing the testing ground for the systems, I truly believe XRP is gonna be running the derivatives and oils and all that, and XLM, the little brother, is gonna be doing what it's doing now, the banking system, consumers.
Have you guys ever watched the there's a YouTube guy, a guy that comes on, it's called Digital Asset Investor.
Yes, him and Moon Lambo.
Yeah, and the thing that happened with me with that is when I used to always hear people say, don't do what the wealthy say, do what they do. And
right.
Showing who's connected to XRP, who's connected to Stellar, who's leaving these more to these six-figure incomes to come over to XRP. And you see all the people from the IMF in the same meetings and people. Or you start to see the same people.
And a good example, Tyrone, is J.P. Morgan.
Yep.
They were one of the biggest people saying, don't do that. Don't do crypto. Turn around and they were making one the whole time.
Before long, Warren Buffett's going to be on board, because he was one of the main people saying, forget about gold. Of course, he's running the gold now also. So
he's in gold stocks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I heard there was a bill passed. You guys confirmed. I heard there was a bill that was passed as much as a day or so ago that was going to require every bank to have their customers get a crypto account, crypto wallet.
Oh, that's the new Fed money. The digital
FedNet.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So it's here.
It's billion. They really, and I was telling people that's why they're trying to kill the guy Satoshi. I'm like, they're gonna try to kill that man. I'm like, how you do a raid on a computer office with SWAT, AR-15s? They're gonna kill that man. I'm telling you, I have no doubt, because they was gonna do this a long time ago, but he threw him off their schedule and forced the hand. And that's why he had to stay secret, and that's why I know he was an inside man, whoever he or she is, or they, because this just level the playing field for us. And James, you mentioned earlier about black wealth is being built, then it's being destroyed. Blockchain is about to change that.
Yeah.
Because like Dr. Claude Anderson, I don't know if you know about him, he set up a whole chain thing of making money. All of a sudden his financing fell through.
Wow.
Now they making money, but his financing fell through. But if he had blockchain, they couldn't touch his money. And
Yes.
that's another reason why they hate it, because they can't control it now.
There's
Blockchain
truth.
is like gold, because governments hate gold because they can't print it.
Exactly.
Blockchain makes them accountable again and transparent again.
Yeah, and they can't take it. They can't go in your account and take your assets.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Your money, your currency, your value. Say asset, but your value.
We do have to understand something though. Okay, I feel anyway is important because Bitcoin is not as private as that initially was. The anonymity was a big deal. However, that's been proven not to be as true as they thought. And you have to understand that governments are tracking wallets.
Right.
And they're where they can, they're putting IDs to it.
Yeah, that's why they call it pseudo anonymous.
Yeah. So
well, they still can't take it out your cold wallet.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So
right. Yeah.
I don't care what they know, they can't take it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't argue that with you, George. I'm just saying we have to understand.
That's the powerful part right there, though. That's powerful. Because in today's world, they can take it.
Yes.
Right? It's more of a give me this first and then you have the rest. In the new world or in the future with this technology, it's more of a request. This is what you owe us. Give it to us, please. You see what I mean? It changes the whole dynamic of that conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you're seeing all the because it's like if you remember the movie Independence Day, and they were asking him what's going on, and he says it's like a game of chess. They're positioning themselves, and when it's ready, they strike. So now you're starting to hear more about regulations and then shutting down certain crypto platforms because, like Carlo just said, now they're getting to the point where at first, without the regulations, it was just the crypto was it was definitely the people's money. But with regulation, the government understands that they can always control whatever type of money flow it is, they control the people. So they had to start putting the regulations in place. So now they can take over again because they don't want to lose control of the people.
Right.
If they control, whenever they control,
they have to do. They have to physically work. If they lose control, they want to do physical labor themselves.
That's right.
So now, James, you know this. I knew blockchain was powerful through Bitcoin as well when they did the Bitcoin futures in 2017. And I told everybody then, watch out, they about to short it, destroy it so they can take over. That's exactly what they did with it, didn't they?
Yeah. Okay.
At first, they bipolar, they want to get rid of it. Then they're going to let SEC do a futures on it. Really? That don't make no sense.
And you got to understand, so what they did with gold is when they started, they recognized that you just got to think about this, okay? You got to think from the mindset of a crook. Not that you are a crook.
Right.
You have to really think about this from the mindset of a crook, of a thief. And there's two things. One, generally they want the easiest way possible. And two, they wanted to cost them as least as possible. And so what they created were futures. Now, futures in like corn and food commodities made sense because that's how farmers protected their payment on their crops.
Right.
But when we got into gold, a different story because it required so much money to actually manipulate and manage physical gold, right?
Yeah.
So what they did was they created the futures market in gold. So this allowed them to create derivatives, which is what a futures is, and it's nothing but a paper contract. So now you have Wall Street and banks, they're managing both ends of the price, the highs and lows with these contracts. So once these futures moved into Bitcoin, we're now in a situation that Wall Street has its fingers in Bitcoin, and we just have to, if you don't understand that, you have to understand it, because now they're managing it.
Yep.
And so you just have to pay attention. I think
Yep.
I really thought that they would take it down to the March lows of last year at one point, but you know, with the futures and stuff happening, that changes the game, because now they can manage, because you know, Bitcoin it's even more costly than gold. But now that they have their hands wrapped around paper contracts, it changes the game a lot. It changes it significantly, and not to the benefit of Bitcoin in the discussion of derivatives, is that there's only so many Bitcoin that are ever going to be produced. See, the difference with gold is that we do have this every year there's a new flow of gold into the markets, new real gold, right?
Mhm.
That's not going to happen in Bitcoin. And so to that point, it is a disadvantage when we talk in terms of futures. I have not yet seen them really do anything drastic with it, but believe me, I've been watching, because I'm not sure what to trust yet.
Right.
And then there was a big group out of China that did a big hack, and they ripped a lot of people off. Those wallets are being monitored, and I know they cleared out half of them, but I know there's still a big bunch still sitting out there.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
From the exchange?
I don't recall. I'd have to go back and look at it. I just know it's
Yeah.
out there, and I haven't seen anything or read anything that suggested that they have cleared it out yet.
I think that is a scare tactic to push for custody for the banks.
Oh, that's interesting, George. That's interesting.
I really do. Because this is what they do. They set the house on fire, then they come rescue.
Yeah.
Yes, that's such a great analogy. I got to use that, George.
Yeah,
I got to use
when
that.
Right. So when a house is on fire, you don't care if the arsonist is one rescuing you, right?
Oh, that is so brilliant.
Yeah. So
that is so brilliant.
They scared. Now all the stuff is to security and the custody of the banks and the government and regulation. That's what they're doing. Like you said, they think far out in advance, years in advance.
Well, people have to understand.
Because remember, to date, no crypto has actually been hacked.
Right.
Really? What you mean?
No, it hasn't. It hasn't.
Like Bitcoin has never, the Bitcoin protocol.
Right.
Has never been hacked.
Right. So they make it seem like it's Bitcoin, but it's really some sad, shady person or group that disappear and never go to jail.
Or like this
exchange. Right, an exchange. That's what I'm saying. All of a sudden, an exchange. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you what I said. I think it's fake. Now, don't get me wrong. I think some exchange people have stolen money, but when it's like this right now, if I got into an exchange's system, I'm not leaving one doggone coin left. Okay, I'm taking everything. So that's what made me think. What crook walks into a jewelry store, get into a case, and steal half the jewelry and leave the other one sitting there? And they got plenty of time to get it. Nobody even know they in a jewelry store.
Yeah,
Don't make no sense.
I like how you think about that. Yeah.
So I think it's a scare tactic over the overall. And like Carlos said, think about it. I didn't think about it, Carlos, but you're right. Bitcoin has not been broken into. It's the exchanges that's had it, and why not
absolutely.
all of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't think about that, Carlos. You're right. So it ain't Bitcoin. You're right. It's the exchanges security.
Right. But to your point, though, I never thought about it from that perspective. Like, you need the bank, you need us, right? Because we don't get quote unquote hacked.
It's gonna be FDIC. It's gonna be FDIC backed.
Well, okay, but
even though they broke.
Yeah, the FedNet coin is going to be a centralized coin. You have to understand it. And they're going to, just like the SDR, they're going to be centralized and they're going to be controlled by those people. So our assets will be accessible by them.
Yes.
On their net, yeah.
And they will have a master key.
Yeah, they have to. Yeah, they got. Yep.
That's what they want to do.
Yep, they got the master key. Exactly. So we got to know how to take when we get it. Like me, I get my money from the government mainly, and employees and retirement checks and veteran checks.
Yeah.
So take that off of it and put it in your cold wallet.
Yep.
And that's why we try to get people to learn, get a blockchain. I don't know Bitcoin. Hey, Bitcoin is a side note for you right now. Learn the blockchain because you're gonna need it, or they're gonna control you totally. Because they're going from cash. You're not gonna be able to have that cash in your pocket no more because they're gonna phase that out or make it illegal. They're gonna they already criminalizing it while letting the state troopers take your money off your card. You guys see those RAD devices down south?
Yes. Wasn't that Louisiana? That's happening in Louisiana, I think.
They started it in Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas. They started down there. So they pull you over, the state trooper, get your wallet, swipe your cards, and if you got 10 grand or something, he could say, you don't look like you should have 10,000 and take your money right then and there. No judge, they do it on the side of the highway. Give us this or we're gonna arrest you. Extortion, because they're criminalizing cash and money to get everybody out of it. So it's been a long time coming.
Yep.
And they're here, they ready, and Satoshi moved with their timeline with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is strictly black ops. I felt it. Cryptology. I felt it when I seen it. And then when Carlos started breaking it down to me, I'm like, yep, I knew it.
I'm gonna have a lot of editing to do in this video.
Oh.
Sorry, Carlo.
you videotaping it?
I was videoing it.
Look, we can't release this out till we have it on blockchain.
I'm gonna have a lot of. Hey, look, there's gonna be the clean version.
The real one. And look, we're gonna still have to edit our names.
George.
Falcon 1.
Yeah, like they did when
Zulu
the service form.
Yeah.
Names.
So anyway, yes, so it's really hard to swallow. It was tough for me to really accept what's going on, but you got to learn it. Like James said, you got to learn it. You got to understand this stuff because it's real. It's here, and it's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're about to do the next massive wealth transfer and heist in history, and I'm telling you, I got a feeling the XRP is gonna really hit $1,000.
I agree.
I truly do. I do a low 100 when I do my calculation. I do a low 100, but I really think in the next 5-6 years, it's gonna be over $1,000.
I tell you, the only thing that concerns me about it is how much of it that there is.
Yeah, yeah. That's. I've thought that too, Carlo. Yeah.
Well, remember this though. If they use it for settlements, they got to get the price up there because they control it. They say gold is going to be 20,000. Gold's going to be 20,000. So they set the price. They're the price setters. So they're going to need less coinage to do a settlement for, $1 billion settlement. They're going to need less coins. So those coins going to have to cost more per coin. So it'd be enough coins to run the system every day without running out of coins. You know what I'm saying? And they took off some coins on the side to help with stabilization. So, you know what I'm saying? So someone right now at 25 cents, how many coins do somebody need to do a cross-border settlement of $100 million? You see what I'm saying? It'd be crazy. So that price got it, to me, I'm just thinking mathematically and practical. That price got to go up to accommodate all the players, especially they hit the derivatives market. And if James, like he said, it's truly a whole quadrillion. Oh, that price can probably hit 10,000 plus.
I have a question for you, gentlemen. Does anyone know what is the? I've been hearing XRP in conversation with some called. Is it Flare? Is some
That's
type
you, Carlos.
I haven't heard of Flare. I heard of Spark.
Spark is gonna be on the Flare network, right?
Maybe I haven't delved. I have not delved into.
Once the coin and once the network or something they're doing. I don't understand the protocol.
Huh? I'm not familiar with it.
I know that you get some Spark tokens for free.
I think it's a XRP, another Ripple partner or something. Because they're really helping it out. And while we on this, y'all gonna think this crazy? How has Elon Musk been surviving all this time? Elon Musk is gonna be the one that's gonna be doing them satellites to override to push 5G to these push them nodes across the globe.
Yeah.
Watch. Elon Musk he's in a mix with them. I'm telling you now.
Well, yeah.
That don't make any sense. Business wise, that doesn't. I don't care how many billions you got. Like James said, you can spend $1 million in no time. Eventually, them billions gonna be gone. And I bet you he's gonna be the civilian side of launching them satellites out there and running them for the nodes to run nodes for the 5G.
Yeah.
For the crypto.
Mm.
Watch.
Well,
Yo, watch. Elon Musk is in the mix.
Look, in the interest of time, I think I better call it. I want to be respectful.
The rabbit holes get deep, don't they?
I feel bad, Carlo.
This was tell everybody. It's not a vacuum.
Hey, James, I knew what I was doing when I kept poking George. I knew what I was doing.
Okay.
I'm appreciative. I'm loving it, but I know at some point I have to respect time. And, man, I really appreciate the input. I appreciate you guys coming by.
Oh man, I appreciate George. That was great.
I want to do this every Saturday, just so y'all know. I just want to keep doing this.
Oh, I like that. And then Tyrone, I really appreciate Tyrone too, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think like I'm like Carlo. I have a tech background, so one of the things that I always told myself is that I'd hold on to that user sense of computers, and I've been doing it too long now. I realize that I no longer have that user perspective, and so it's really great to hear somebody like you, Tyrone, asking the questions that you were asking, because it brings me back. It allows me to check myself and say, okay, that's a great question. Right. And in the beginning, that is something that really one has to look at and to consider. And so I'm saying, like with the money too, because of all I do, sometimes it's not easy to get back to that place where you're just starting out looking at things, and and you're getting all this information from all these different sources. Some of it's true, some of it's false, and you're trying to balance it out and make sense of it. So it was great. It was great to hear your questions. So man, and obviously your attitude, your money mindset is like spot on. Oh
yeah, no question with Ty.
Well, I appreciate it.
Ty and Michael. Michael haven't said anything this time.
He's on there listening.
I'm listening.
Okay, there it is. There's the shirt. I was wanting to see your shirt. Okay, now I got it. Okay, yes.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I'm totally with you, Tyrone. I love that shirt because that's what it's about.
My wife got me that.
And you realize generational wealth by definition is 300 years.
Yes.
Ooh.
So we gotta push it out.
So think about that, right? In terms of slavery and everything, right? Because we're talking 400 years, and it is never wealth has never been established because it's been taken away. That's just of course.
That's how deep it is.
Yeah, it's so deep.
Right.
It's just so it's so brutal. It's just like
I'll say one thing. Let me tell you how deep it is.
Uh-oh. That's my brother.
Bring it, Michael.
I watched a guy on YouTube owe taxes to the federal government. And I guess he got with a group of people who knew what to write on the check. He actually got a refund check. And he didn't cash the refund. He took the IRS papers and he took it to the IRS with the check. And he wrote these codes and stuff on this check. And he turned that check into the IRS. And the IRS actually gave him a refund. But when he got it paid off his debt. His debt was actually paid off, and he owed. But whatever he wrote on that check, these specific codes that he wrote on this check, when he turned into the IRS, it paid his debt. from his private side. Because we have a private side as well as we have our side that we look at now. Like when you look at your bills and they say your name is always in capital letters.
Straw man.
Right. We have that side. So when he got the refund back, at the top of that check was a dollar sign symbol, not with you got the dollar symbol with the line going straight through it.
Yeah.
The line was at the top of that dollar symbol and at the bottom of that dollar symbol, and there was a 7 to 8 digit number on there.
Wow.
They saying that's how much he was worth on his private side.
Wow.
The side nobody knows how to access.
Yeah, I've seen some videos on that, and I haven't found any way to really actually do it to find. I'm like, where's the lawyers at? they keep it to themselves or what? Because I want to figure that one out.
That's how deep this stuff is, though. It goes all the way back to Social Security numbers and oh man, so much.
Yeah, there's
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's deep. Yeah. It's a lot out here to not realize that we've been hoodwinked. Yeah. It's the Matrix. I can tell you, it's the Matrix.
It actually
it's the Matrix. It really is.
There's just
misdirection.
There's no way around it. It is the Matrix. Yep.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Cool.
Well, I appreciate this platform. Definitely will be on.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
Some more questions when it comes to trading.
Oh yeah. Hey, look, I'll set up the next one for 3:00 Saturday again, and just keep rolling until we get tired of doing it.
All righty.
Hey, Carla, can I announce what I'm doing too?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So here's the deal. Okay. Because wealth is that's what I work around, right? That's wealth, money, and stuff like that. And tomorrow, I guess, is that right, Carla? You and I'm going to interview you and we're going to talk about this. So my goal is to finish out this year and go further if it's really working. But I want to interview at least 90 people because that'll get me through the end of the year. And I want them to be Black or brown people, right? And I want to just have a real one-on-one talk about wealth. What do you know about wealth? What do you think about wealth? What do you how do you think certain things have affected you? And I want to get it. I'm not really looking for it from an expert level. I'm really looking at it from a human level, from a person level. Does that make sense? So if any of you guys are interested in that.
Yeah, I'm interested in that.
Are you? Okay, cool.
Definitely.
Okay. So just hit me up on Facebook. It's just, I'm James Possible. There's no dot or anything. It's just James Possible. Okay. If you'll just friend me, I'll friend you back. And then we can schedule some interviews because I just feel like this conversation has to be opened up. And it has to be, I like what's happening on the bigger picture, but as I shared, I don't think income isn't the solution. There's a bigger discussion that we have to really have. And
there really is.
Yeah, and it's the Wealth Foundation. And so I want to start that almost a ground roots conversation, if you will. And because let's be real, the wealth gap, and that's what's motivating me here, the wealth gap is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think like for whites, it's 180,000 average. Averages can skew things, but anyways, that's the number. And then for Black and brown families, it's around 17,000. But what's even more scary is that over the next decade or two, they're actually saying that it's going to go negative.
We're about to go to negative interest rates.
Well, but even the average,
it's going to get worse.
But even the average wealth, though, George, for the Black and brown families is going to go negative. And,
right.
And how is that going to benefit anybody? It's
nope. not. You talking about revolutionary time?
Oh yeah, right.
You're gonna be hungry. They're gonna be out hungry.
You cannot change something when somebody is starving like that, right?
Exactly.
People will fight, and and the tragedy is that the system is set up that those people will probably lose. And
definitely.
Yeah, and I I can't stand by and not be part of the solution.
Okay. All right. Well, James, you that's awesome. I'll definitely check you on Facebook and look up that Willie Lynch letter today if you can, so you can know before you do your interviews going forward. You have an insight.
Okay, yeah,
And
absolutely.
everybody on this channel too,
It will explain a lot.
selling the Negro. Look that up. Selling the
Is that
Negro.
what it is? Feeling
That's
the Negro?
another one. Selling the Negro.
Failing
That's
the
capital.
Negro. Okay.
Selling.
Selling. Okay, got it.
I'm sorry. SELLING.
SELL.
It's about marketing to African Americans from I think 1954. They did the documentary.
Yeah, 1954. Right.
It's a training that and the Willie Lynch letter.
Willie Lynch letter. Okay.
Yes, there you go. You get those two foundations. As you going through this, you're gonna see, get your insight and the battle that's going on.
Sweet. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you, George. Man, I really
And that's why you mentioned about people not want to do it because why do it? They're gonna take it from them.